Alright, here we are in a best of three played out in the Alpha Navigators Cup Weekly number 24. This one will be starring Kel in the Red Infernal. And his opponent, also an Infernal player in the blue, is Fiction. Looks like Fiction's opened up with a vault into a conclave, sending one of his lumber imps over to chop the trees. While the Hexen of Kel has showed up to scout that, and Fiction's own Hexen sees there's a conclave over here. No other building, it doesn't look like, no vault. And it looks like there's a farm made for Kel out here also with some lumber imping going down. So slightly different builds to start out. Although we do see now a second conclave going down for Kel. The vault first here produced a brute for Fiction, and Fiction's now going to start creeping on the slimes, and I like that he's positioned his units strategically there so that the brute's going to take 3 of the slimes and his Hexen's going to tank on the other 2. That probably allows him to maybe AFK a bit and work on his macro. For instance, we see him putting down the ritual chamber. That's pretty early ritual chamber. It looks like the first 50 Therium were used for that, instead of using the early Therium on Gaunts, which is what we see Kel doing. He's got 4 Gaunts out, choosing to spend that 50 Therium elsewise. Now, what this allows him to do is creep this camp, of course, and maybe do it with a little less care than Fiction did with his brute, because he has a slightly bigger strike force. But that is putting him, well, I was going to say a little bit behind in the creeping, although he had creeped this camp first. We see a couple fiends being sent there by Fiction to try and take it, but the Fellhogs are enough to protect it, and those fiends run into these Gaunts but manage to get away with their life, still at low health though. The new fiends off of the more recent patch means they have a little less health, die a little bit quicker to Gaunts, and they already kind of melt pretty quick to Gaunts. We see Kel leading a skull out ahead of his units here. He's got 8 Gaunts, it looks like now, and that's a pretty good early game Gaunt force. There's 4 Gaunts out for Fiction, but we saw, let's see, Fiction's Plague Axes are not yet done, but they are very close to being done. And we do have a skirmish here. There's more Gaunts on the side of Kel, and that's actually going to be in his favor, although the Plague Axes are about to be finished for Fiction if he can get away with this. Although it looks like possibly not. We actually do have Plague Axes for both sides here. I didn't notice that, but it looks like despite spending his Therium a little different at the beginning there, Kel also had a very quick Plague Axe timing, almost faster maybe than Fiction did, which is very interesting to note. And he now has the advantage with a few extra fiends, and Fiction is trying to get defensive on the high ground, but neither party has actually made a natural yet, so this aggression's not likely to take out a new natural, take out some workers at that natural. Instead, we're going to have army on army violence, and if this goes sour, that's right up into the main. So these fiends are going to get around behind on top of the Gaunts. We see an effigy going down for Fiction, but it gets shot. I'm not really sure what the strategy is behind that. Shroud is good for both sides here. And it looks like, yeah, Kel's numbers were the advantage there. He managed to kill off the army of Fiction. Fiction's fiends are running back, trying to get a little defender's advantage up to where his reinforcements are popping out, up to where he can pull some imps into the battle as well. But more reinforcements of Kel have also arrived, and here they are on top of this army. This is the last gasp for Fiction. Can his brutes defend? This is the last brute. Another one pops out, but it's going to be a GG out of Fiction. Let's get into game 2. Alright, here we are in the second game of this best of 3 series, and this is going to star Kel here in the Blue Infernal. And he's spawning here in the top right of Furious Resolve, opening with the Conclave. His opponent, Fiction, the Red Infernal, also opening Conclave in the bottom right. And strangely, the 2 Hexen scout exactly the right way. We see that Fiction's Hexen has violence in her heart, and she takes a couple pot shots on Kel's Hexen, who walks by unperturbed, just straight on by, wants to see what's going on. We see an imp out on the map for a second. Fiction's Hexen, again with maybe violence in her mind, wanted to get lured away, but she decides, no, scouting is my goal. And we do see scouting the conclave into vault on the high ground here for Fiction. And it's still just a single conclave for Kel, with his Hexen teleporting back, and the same thing for Fiction. So both of them getting a nice clean scout. The difference is Kel has put his farm here at the vision camp, and we see Fiction moving out onto the map pretty quick too, but it looks like both of them are heading to the speed camp, and we're likely to get a little bit of a skirmish here. Let's see what happens. Here they are both arriving almost exactly the same time. Gaunt's first here, and so a couple good shots there. Now it's about the micro, the focus fire. We got a skull on one of these Gaunts. It's now weak. We're pulling it out while Fiend appears. Now Fiend appears on both sides. Both of them losing their Gaunts now, and Fiend's up. But it looks like one Fiend went down for Fiction. Very equal in that battle. Fiction getting away with one of his Fiends and Kel with two. That's pretty even trade. Couldn't be much more even than that if it was just exactly even. I mean, that's the only other way. And Kel's going to take that minor advantage. Was able to push the creeping units of Fiction back. And that means Kel's going to be able to claim the resources from this camp, as well as likely the speed bonus after he's done. Doing a good job to micro those Fiends to try and keep them alive. They're very low. Keeping two alive now. But yes, okay, managing to keep two alive. Losing only one, that's pretty good. And it's Fiction has creeped out his health camp. That's where his farm had gone. And now it looks like he's going to move to the vision. But that's where the farm is. And if Kel... Yeah, okay, so Kel does also... I looked for a second there like Kel was going to go to the health camp. But he's like, okay, I put my farm here. It's possible if Fiction goes, then that farm's just going to... it's just going to tank for Fiction then instead. If you want to get the advantage of it, you have to be the one creeping it. Now, all the Fellhogs are dead. So now the camp has just sort of fought the farms, and now the Shadow Demons have aggroed onto Fiction's units, and Fiction's moving back, and Kel's moving in aggressively. So this is interesting. What's going to go on here? And this is, I don't know if I like this. This is moving his units into a very vulnerable and dangerous position. He's got Fiction's army behind him, and Fiction's reinforcements in front of him. Now, does he have his Plague Axes up? Yes, so very quickly, like last game, he's got Plague Axes up. He's got some Fiends appearing, and he's starting to build a smaller army off of these Imps. But the Imps have been pulled, and now he's sort of pinned in here. He's going to have to fight. A couple of reinforcements coming in the back here. If he's lucky, he's going to get the advantageous shots. He's going to get some Fiends of his own, but we're starting to see Fiends appear on Fiction's side, and Kel's army is out, actually almost completely gone now. The reinforcing Gaunts are going to try and flee, but they're not going to make it. There are Fiends on top of them, and they are going to turn into Fiends themselves. And this is a good advantage for Fiction. Fiction's units now moving across the map. I could imagine an immediate GG, although it looks like Kel does have a healthy defensive force of Gaunts back home, and he feels like he might be able to defend against this counter army. Fiends are right on the low ground. They're going to come up. Now, I don't like them engaging that many Gaunts without the rest of their units, and these units have stopped to kill the farm. Okay, so momentarily risky and dangerous for Kel after that, losing his army in that initial aggression. But it looks like Fiction's going to try and not, go ahead and throw this advantage and lose his Fiends, and it's instead going to just try and take some map control, take some creep income. We have some Gaunts here that it looks like they're on patrol or just doing the hokey pokey. And now we have units, they're getting on top of the Gaunts. The Gaunts do really good against Fiends there. You see a lot of four fiends looks like maybe went down after one volley. Oh, and I like this Fiction trying to get a little bit of a surround here. There's so many of these Gaunts from Kel. They destroyed the Gaunts from Fiction, but now they have to deal with the Fiends and the Brutes. There's actually just not enough there, and these units get cleaned up. There's one Gaunt trying to get away, and actually this is now going to be in Kel's advantage. Fiction does have a base going down that's vulnerable. Kel's units retake the Vision Camp. Well, this one Gaunt trying to make his way home. And now we have another aggressive force of Kel's units coming into this base. But again, there's the defender's advantage. And we start... Ooh, a little bit of a move command there. They're being very aggressive and trying to get on top of these. But I think that was just 1 second too late. We get a wow out of Fiction. Not sure what that was in reference to. Kel was... There must have been a leg or something there. Not exactly sure. Oh. Okay. Maybe there's... No, IA moved. Okay. There you go. Okay. So... We were all respecting the same thing. Was that a GG? I think that was a GG. I didn't actually see the last GG there. Let's move into the third game. Okay, here we are in game 3 now of this best of 3 in the Alpha Navigators Cup number 24 between Fiction now in the blue Infernal. They swapped colors, and Kel in the red Infernal. Now we're playing on Secluded Grove, a little bit smaller map, even though we were on the large map last time. We had another kind of quick game with a couple armies unfortunately sacrificed by Kel as he moved across the map. First one he tried to micro but got overextended. And the second one, a little bit of a bug or lag or something happened as he tried to move his army in, and they just move commanded and sacrificed themselves, unfortunately. We have our Hexens moving across. This is an imp, actually. Both of them sending imps out. Almost exactly the same timing. And both of them scouting. We've got a vault into Conclave here for Kel. And Conclave into Vault here for Fiction. So slightly opposite, but also very similar openings. And this Hexens is being a little annoying, trying to get some damage on this farm. And it looks like Fiction's just going to ignore that and go camp and creep. We actually have a couple Fiends coming down here to be extra annoying. What are they going to do here? They're going to actually take out this farm. It's an interesting choice. The choice here is basically to try and, take out this farm instead of doing creeping of your own. Ignoring the Velhog, I like that, just trying to DPS down the actual farm. And the farm is going to go down. Oh! And, okay, well, what does that mean? That costs Fiction another farm, and he's got another farm on the way. And at the moment is supply blocked, so that's not good. But that did slow down the creeping of Kel a little bit, although maybe not terribly. So we see a little bit of a retaliation coming from Fiction as some Fiends run out ahead, get on top of the Hexen, but are unable to kill her. She is a little bit low. And again, it looks like Fiction's got a few extra units here. And there's the Shadow Demon there causing a little problem. Now the favor seems to be swinging in favor of Kel. Although with each unit that goes down, there's such small armies here that each one that goes down, the advantage kind of shifts. We got a couple of Fiend on Fiend over here, and it looks like Fiction's the one who comes out with the advantage here. Now it's the farm of Kel that's at risk. Single Fiend goes down too. Kel's going to try and save his farm, bringing out a Brute and 2 Gaunts. That's just unfortunately still outnumbered by the other units here, but it's enough to force Fiction away. Now Kel's the one who's at the closer reinforced distance, and Fiction actually waits for Kel to engage the Shadow Demon again, and then Looks like it's going to try and come in and maybe take out... Well, it's going for the Brute. Thought maybe it was going to try and snipe the farm. The Brute goes down, but actually is split by Kel manually to get that extra Shroud skin and a few extra shots off. And now Fiction is in retreat, and Kel is going to return to creeping and actually manages to claim that final Shadow Demon after that initial aggression. And now Fiction's going to move to creep out his vision camp, but his farm, of course, lost at the beginning. We have Rich Chamber up. I don't see any Plague Axe. That means it might be done already. Both of them have been going for incredibly fast Plague Axe jets. Both of their Plague Axes are already up. And it's maybe back to creeping now. Although we do see this small force of Fiction moving across the map. Kel has not yet made a base. Oh yes, here we have an Imp going down for Kel. And these Fiends ran into this small force. No, there's a potential for some aggression. But Fiction knows moving back. Now, I think it would be cool if he managed to send some units to snipe this farm. That would at least be a momentary annoyance for Kel. Although it looks like Fiction might be supply blocked himself again at 31. And yes, another farm is going down, but also maybe just waiting for the shrine to pop. Still no shrine actually going down. Well, there we go. We finally got the resources for that. And now Kel's going to creep his energy camp. And it looks like similar idea from Fiction. Maybe it's time to re-engage with the creeping. That camp goes down. And what do, Kel? Okay, continue the creeping. Go for the Luminite camp. Waiting for his base to get up. Fiction's base is now up. We do have a greater shrine just about to complete. There we go. And we'll see what that means for Fiction. Do we see Reaper's Rush going down? Not. There we go. Reaper's Rush being started. Of course, those are the speedy legs for the Gaunts. And capturing the Luminite. Getting just a little bit ahead of Kel capturing his Luminite. And actually that's because Kel's already captured his energy camp. And it looks like Fiction's just going to ignore the energy camp here. So Kel's units, we see these Fiends are going to be annoying, but Kel's units are already kind of moving in this direction. We see another Imp here moving to make a third, and so his natural is just finished, but we already see a third going down. So after kind of a slow start, that's kind of a greedy expansion pattern afterwards. Trying to catch up a little bit quicker. Well, Fiction does have 9 imps here. So he's doing pretty good for saturating his second base. So his income is definitely higher now. We see another vault and a health forge going down. And Kel has positioned his units sort of nicely here. He's got these Fiends to try and take out the lone Fiends that were being annoying here of Fiction, but then his other units are over here to try and protect this more vulnerable third base from maybe aggression coming from the back here or up through this path, or even by knocking down these trees. It also is a slightly more advanced position that allows to cover, say, the vision camp if he sees the army coming in along some other path. So pretty good positioning there for Kel. Meanwhile, Fiction's still trying to clean out some of those camps. Neither of them have gone for their Therium camp yet. It's a little bit more out of position unless you send some imps to do the lumberjacking. And speaking of lumberjacking imps, we have one knocking down the trees here, and Kel is being super aggressive on the expos. Having dropped this third, is now, well, has the mins, yeah, dropping the fourth in the middle. Very aggressive. If Fiction lets Kel get away with this, Kel's economy is definitely going to be in a huge advantage in a few minutes. How's he doing? So this is now a saturated base. This one's saturated with 7 on Ethereum. And, well, we were saturated, but they got moved over there to Ethereum as well. And more annoying fiends from Fiction just trying to steal camps. But they are, you know, in this case, a lot of fiends are just being lost for that annoyance. So it's better if you can run them away a little bit after. Here we go, a big old mag knocking down the trees. Donkey stomp. That's what I mean about making it a little bit easier to creep this other camp, so they have to go all the way around. You can just go back and forth here and creep both camps at once. I really like this design, actually. I think Secluded Grove is one of our best maps in the pool right now. More maps like this, please. Originally, I thought parts of this map were a little awkward and weird to get about, but I kind of like that because it creates pathways for attack and storylines and so on. So overall, I would say second favorite map to Broken Crown. More production going down here as well. Do we have a Hellforge? No, we have a Twilight Spire out for Fiction instead. That could mean Air Tech or just Tier 3. We do not see Air yet. We see Fiction is going with Mags. And they are not upgraded, because again, no Hellforge. We do have some upgrades, Demon Hoop Tremors, and there we go, we see the effects immediately, the stuns. And that's only a single mag, and he gets kind of caught out, he's in the middle and focused down. And for Kel, that means it's time to retreat, maybe regroup a bit. We see 2 more mags showing up, and they're going to use their Demon Hoof Tremors. And we also see good splitting ability as Kel pulls back his gaunts so he doesn't get caught in the trample of Fiction's mags. Another Magmadon shows up for Kel. Is he going to proc it? Yes, indeed. We see more trample going down, more stomps, more stuns. So far, that's been really impressive stuns out for Kel, and not quite as good coming back for Fiction. Fiction bringing in a Harbinger now, landing down. I didn't see anything come out of that. It may have just been for the Shroud. But we do see Kel's units get pushed back to his natural, and now it's Fiction that's retreating. As another little group of Gaunts are down here with a Manifest Shroud Stone to try and help defend here. Meg's coming up. It's very kind of chaotic and two-sided battle here. The imps have been pulled, although a lot of them are turning into fiends. The Megs are just trying to get into a defensive position where they can defend the imps. And now it's a little bit of Meg on Meg. There are 3 Mags for Fiction and 2 for Kel, as well as a few Gaunts for Fiction as well. This is making it not very good for Kel, and those Megs go down. Fiction's Megs, and that's actually going to be a GG out of Kel.